From the Homestead Studios in Santa Clarita, California, this is a Headache Soul production. Welcome to Just the Tip-Sters, America's favorite true crime podcast, and I'm your host, Melissa Morgan. With me today is my beautiful and talented co-host, Joshua Bevan.
Hey, girl, hey.
Okay. I guess we're going to have a little team meeting after we get done. I'm reporting you to HR. Boy. Not that there is an HR, but just in case. Uh-huh. So how are you doing today?
Oh my gosh. I'm doing amazing. It's almost snowing in Southern California.
I'm not buying it. It's rain.
Well, there is snow around. Snow's close by.
And we could drive there, I guess.
It's trying really hard to snow here.
No, it isn't. You keep saying that, and that's a very sweet thing but it's not happening. Being a California boy, do you have friends across the country, different parts of the world?
Oh, absolutely. Of course.
Do they check in with you?
Like, are you okay in the rain?
Constantly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people have texted me or messaged me this week?
Really?
I fucking blame the media. I sound like, an old
Storm Watch 2023.
Yeah. And they make it sound like, all of us, our houses are like floating toward the ocean.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
I get so much, and I'm like, no, I'm fine. It's raining.
Sure.
I mean, granted, you as a Southern California resident, native, said people don't know how to drive in the rain in Southern California. You are correct, sir.
Yeah.
But, there's nothing anyway, I don't want to talk about it. Everything's fine.
It's fine.
Everything's fine.
Now I'm feeling bad. Nobody has checked on me. Does nobody care about me?
No, because you don't have friends.
Okay, fair.
And you're,
Yeah, nobody knows how to drive. And one of the other problems is it rains so little here. All of our streets get really slick with all the oil that builds up. And so the first day of rain, there's always a ton of accidents, and people don't know how to recover too. That's the other part. They don't know how to drive then when it's something starting, they just flip out.
Lose their shit.
And
well, that and like yesterday coming home, one of the lanes that I would use to turn into my development was under, I don't know, a foot of water. So I was hydroplaning.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, this is fun. But, it's not going to kill me. Hopefully, my car doesn't get like stalled or something.
Sure.
When I had a Camaro, that happened because it's low to the ground.
Right.
But I have a, crossover SUV. Did you see that that video from, what's the thing you made me follow? SCV something.
SCV speed dating? Is that
that wasn't it.
No.
SCV, which would be horrible. Slow or speedy. What's up, SCV?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so they posted a video, I think on Instagram, of two cars on the 5 freeway, just like
uphill. Yeah, there was
up half the driver's door. One was a Porsche, and the driver was on the roof of the car waiting to be rescued.
Oh no!
I guess it's closer to North Hollywood, or they call it Sunland, like the Sheldon
5 drops down there a little bit. Yep. Yeah, okay.
The Sheldon exit. Yeah, it was like a white Porsche with a black convertible top, I guess, and the guy was sitting on top of his car.
Wow!
And then it was something larger, like a truck,
and he.
The 5 freeway was just, I don't know how many feet that would be. A lot.
I mean,
feet.
that's huge.
3,
right
maybe
there. 3,
2.5, 3
door, for sure.
No, halfway up the door.
Yeah.
But I mean, a Porsche is low. But anyway, yeah. So please, tipsters, don't worry about us. We're fine.
I'm not fine. But
Joshua's not fine. We all know that. Yeah, don't worry about it. That's what mental health professionals are for. Which, by the way, I had some great conversations with my therapist. She's amazing and wonderful. I still hope that if you have Netflix, you will watch the documentary Stutz.
Absolutely.
It's a good one. And there's also now Shrinking.
Have you been watching it?
I have.
Oh my God. So good. Are you caught up on?
No, the one yesterday. I haven't seen the one that came out yesterday.
Oh, did it just come out? Okay.
Yeah, they come out on Friday.
Got it.
I had watched the first 5, and then yesterday was the 6th.
Oh my gosh.
I do have to say, I hate that they release them one a week. I really like
it's hard
binge streaming.
Totally.
Really don't like that it's once a week. But if it's funny and touching and human and authentic.
So good. And Harrison Ford is hilarious.
Well, I've never been a huge fan. I don't really give a shit about action-y shit. And the thing I thought he did the best at was something called like, I don't know if it's called The Trouble with Harry or Henry. It's where he had like a stroke. He was like a doctor, and Annette Bening is his wife, and people just, it's really good. It's a dramatic role, and he doesn't, have like a cat of nine tails or a weird hat or anything. He's, he doesn't go into like a dungeon with a big rock that closes. It's just him being a man.
Okay.
And I think Shrinking is, knowing a little bit about Phil Stutz, I think he does. I know this is loosely based on Phil Stutz, but maybe it's a little tighter based on Phil Stutz. But I think Harrison Ford does an amazing job of a very layered, complicated human.
Totally.
I was very impressed with him.
Totally.
He's probably one of my favorite. Everybody in there is great, though. Everybody is great. But yeah, I'm more impressed with him, I think, than, yeah. So Joshua, my friend Suzanne was telling me this week about a really particularly crappy day at work.
Mm-hmm.
And in her message to me, she said, my day at work literally sucked balls. So
literally
sucked balls.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, how are your balls? 2 on the nose?
Oh my God. Two on whose nose?
Oh my Lord. Just when I think I'm a 12-year-old boy, you 12-year-old boy it up a level. You have reached level 10, my friend. So how's it hanging over there, my friend?
Oh boy. Well, speaking of, I'm glad you asked. What's funny is Manscaped is actually promoting right now. Not only do they have ball hedgers and
which they do,
but their kit, actually, they have a beard trimming kit that includes the Beard Hedger Pro kit that you can get 20% off and free shipping if you use the code JustTheTip at manscaped.com.
Which is really, I think, the best promo code.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's so
I think
good.
so too.
But the cool thing that I was actually looking at, they haven't sent this yet, but the beard trimmer kit actually has shampoo and conditioner specifically for your beard.
Interesting.
You need to remember that all your hair is different. Your beard hair is more coarse and easier to damage than the hair on your head. That's why this kit made a shampoo and conditioner specially designed to moisturize, reduce ingrown hairs, and replace natural oils in your beard.
That seems like
you still have my address, Manscaped?
Yeah, I'm going to ask him for that.
Yeah, right.
Because your beard is very beautiful.
Well,
it's very lovely. I like how you keep it, scaped. And it's like a perfect color for your skin, and it's a great beard.
Thank you. I received that compliment.
I'm not like really usually a huge beard fan.
Sure.
But yours is like, trimmed at a lovely length. It's not too long. It's not too short. You don't look like dirty or scuzzy. And you also don't look like you belong at a, bar that sells IPAs. You're not like a hipster.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're
you're not a member of the ZZ Top, tribute band.
Sure.
But it's a lovely, it's really a nice beard. I know. And I'm not like a beard fan, but
Thank you.
I have not checked out anything below the waist, so I don't know how that's going. I'm just going to have to take your word for it.
I can tell you and everyone in the entire world that I keep everything scaped nicely.
I imagine you do.
Because this is what happens now. I tell everyone
we have to talk about your balls at least once. And I just wanted to say we're back up on the charts in the UAE.
Hey, all right.
And Macau.
Yes.
So there's a lot of cute girls in the United Arab Emirates and Macau, and they would like to know that shit's kept close to the ball.
Slide into my DMs.
Oh my God.
No, or put up some reviews on wherever you listen to the podcast.
Oh, that's a good thing too. I thought you were going to say reviews of your balls.
No, reviews of this.
Yeah. How many people I don't want to know how many people have seen. Is it a lot of people who've seen your balls? Rhetorical. Don't answer. Now I have to go join Yelp just to read the review of Joshua's balls. I can't wait. Cannot wait.
Oh boy.
Okay. So this case today was given to me by Tipster Jerry, who is one of those God among men. He was a fireman paramedic and then retired and then works in the, I don't even know what to call it, the death investigation world.
Okay.
He's a terrific human being. And he's one of the people that will let me know when I put up the wrong episode.
Oh.
I think this week's is the right one. I think I did it right.
I listened this week, yeah.
And you thought I did it right?
Yeah,
okay, good. Right. All right. I think I did it right. First time in 3 weeks.
Oh, boy.
The 2 previous weeks, I'm like, what?
No.
I can't believe I didn't just put up like, an episode of Serial by mistake or something. Like,
Right.
What the hell's wrong with you? But anyway, Tipster Jerry, amazing dude, Ohio resident. And I'm going to give him your address now, Jerry. 3321. I'm just kidding. Ohio resident. I'm not going to tell you where. And he's kind of secretive, so I don't even know exactly where. But this was a really interesting case, an Ohio case that I guess has been around. And I have too many thoughts about this one since August of 2011. And before I even get into the terrific coverage of this, there's a Facebook page called Gone at 21. And I guess the administrator, moderator, page guardian is a man named Ryan. And he calls it a podcast, but I don't know. I guess you just call it a podcast if it's on YouTube.
Okay.
I mean, it has like what ours has, which is like, like our logo and the audio.
Right.
And he has been a champion of this case for a long time. And it's very, very interesting that there have been these kind of changes in the case in the last week or so. It's very interesting. It's the case of Katelyn Markham. And at this point, it can really be called a cold case because 2011,
Right.
I will tell you the thing that bothers me the most is that I guess the lead agency in this case is the Fairfield PD, Fairfield, Ohio. Fairfield is a little bit north of Cincinnati. Fairfield is an interesting city because part of it is in Hamilton County, part of it is in, I think, Butler County.
Oh.
It's weird, like split into 2 different counties. But the Fairfield PD, I will just tell you my limited interaction, and I have bitched about them on previous podcasts.
Okay.
Small agency, not huge, but not like Mayberry, but,
Okay.
not big. There is perhaps more than one detective, but there's sort of one person, Officer Day, who is one of the more unpleasant human beings I've ever dealt with.
Okay.
And I'm very pro law enforcement.
Yes.
If I'm saying that, it's not because I was like, oh, you know what? He was having a bad day.
Okay.
We all have bad days.
Sure.
He must be having a bad life.
Oh.
And I don't give a shit because part of his job is to, at least keep people informed. And it doesn't even matter if it's me. I'll just tell you what I'm reading here. It's Katelyn's father is horrified with the way his daughter's case has been handled and called his own press conference, I think 2016 after 5 years.
Wow.
So now there is another agency, but they're not the lead. And I'll explain that's because of where she was found. And it seems real cut and dried, and maybe it's not cut and dried. But this week, there were some developments that may make it, So it's August of 2011, and this beautiful girl who's kind of one of those people that if you had a daughter, you'd want her to be this person, Katelyn with a K. So Katelyn Markham, and here's the thing. When you live in Ohio, sometimes you meet someone and you end up dating them for a long time, and it's maybe just be, geography or comfort level. She and John Carter had been dating for like 5 years, and she's, 21. So they met when she was very young.
Okay.
So she had lived in this condo with her father. She was an art student at the University of Cincinnati, an art institute, an esteemed, college she got into because of her creativity. And she and John Carter, who was like a delivery person for Papa John's Pizza.
Okay.
She worked 2 jobs. One of them was at David's Bridal. So she was working a lot.
Right.
She and her father lived in this condominium in Butler County. She and her father lived in this condo in Fairfield. And her father had recently moved out because he was moving in with his new girlfriend. So she was ostensibly living there alone.
Okay.
Her boyfriend, John, was there quite often. You know, that's what, when you're 21, you know.
Sure.
And when she graduated college, she was going to move to Denver.
Okay.
I can't find the reason why, like if it was for additional schooling or she just loved the area, but it said that John was happy about the move and was going to move with her.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And, you know, he could probably get a job as a delivery person for Papa John's in any city.
Sure.
Right. So let's just say she was the one who probably drove the bus. Right.
Got it.
She was responsible, took care of things, 2 jobs, just, you know, like this ambitious girl who wanted to make something of her life.
Cool.
Going to college, got, you know, extremely great grades. I mean, she wasn't,
Nice.
you know, just like a 21-year-old fuck off. She was a pretty spectacular girl.
Cool.
A really interesting girl. She and John go to a church festival that's local. They had gone to this festival every year that they'd been together.
Okay.
So they go to this church festival with friends, and she is very tired because she had worked until late, like 8 p.m. at David's Bridal, her second job. And they go, and I guess it's probably 10 or 11 at night. It's pretty late. And they go back to her condo, she and John. But in the meantime, at the festival, John had spent $100 on raffle tickets.
Oh.
And Katelyn was not apparently happy about that.
Okay.
Like blowing $100.
Blowing money. Okay.
When they're trying to save up to move to Denver.
Sure.
So a friend of Katelyn's, he's not named, came over to the apartment and said, or the condo, and said, it felt odd and tension-filled. So I didn't stay long.
Okay.
And this is Katelyn's friend coming from his perspective. So he didn't stay long.
Okay.
John Carter says she was tired and went to bed, and I went home. And he only lives like maybe like a half a mile away.
Okay.
Very close, I guess, with his parents. And he said he sent her a text in the morning, like, good morning, beautiful.
No.
And she didn't answer. The thing is, there's nothing to corroborate the texts he said he sent the next day. I don't know why.
They can't.
In 2011, there would be a digital footprint.
Of the actual text that was sent, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Unless one or both of them use like burner phones, which I don't think they did.
Yeah.
So I don't know why the things he said. Look, this isn't the first time we've heard this.
Yeah.
The same thing in the Will Sarazan case. Daniel Sarazan's father, Will's brother, said, oh, I was at my ex-wife's house that night. Stayed over. And she lives at the top of Saco Canyon. The reception's bad. Took a month for detectives from the LA County Sheriff's Department to question her. And she said, he wasn't here that night.
Oh, geez.
1 month.
Oh, boy.
And that's the world's largest homicide bureau.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I can't expect a lot from Officer Doug Day of the Fairfield PD.
Whom you're not a big fan of.
I'm not a big fan at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not even a little fan.
Yeah.
So I don't know why there isn't something to corroborate the text he said he sent.
Okay.
He was sort of ruled out pretty quickly. I don't know why, but I guess they thought, oh, he didn't have anything to do with it. So she's missing. She's this beautiful girl, you know, Fairfield, for the most part, while it's, you know, kind of spread out. And like I said, over 2 different counties, close to Hamilton, Ohio, it's, let's call it like a bedroom community of, you know, Cincinnati, you know, Columbus kind of. It's a large suburb.
Okay.
Let's call it that. It's not, you know, a metropolis, but it's, you know, a large suburb. So they do not know where she is from August of 2011 to 2013, when 2 people looking for scrap metal in Cedar Grove, Indiana, lift up some trash and see a jawbone.
Oh, no.
And keep looking, and there's the rest of her.
Oh, geez.
They call the police immediately. And their report is that this did not look like anyone was trying to hide her. It just looked like she was put there, and they may have put a little bit of garbage on top of her.
Dumped a little on top.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's the terrible piece of information I hate to say. Her head was found wrapped in a Kroger bag. Kroger is the East Coast version of Ralph's.
Got it.
They actually are the same. One owns the other. I can't remember. But it's a local grocery chain, the biggest one probably in that area. So she had a plastic Kroger bag wrapped around her head.
And was that like the killer suffocated her with it? Is that's
a great question, because they have not been able to tell us the cause of death.
Okay.
But the manner of death is homicide. Okay. They know it's homicide. They just can't tell you, was she bludgeoned, shot, suffocated. Mm-hmm. They may not be able to tell us what it is because they're holding that back, or because they truly don't know.
Because they don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, two full years later, mm-hmm. the body is mm-hmm. not going to tell a ton.
Near some water.
Yeah.
It wasn't someone who took a lot of time to secrete her body somewhere.
Right.
That's why I don't believe it was a serial killer. There has been mentioned that there was a serial killer operating at the time. It didn't appear to me to be close to Katelyn, but if you're anywhere in Ohio, they think, it's related. And
Got it.
His victims were, both had bags over their heads. That's about the only connection in my mind, because I believe Katelyn was killed by somebody much, much closer.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
One of the things I love about her father, Dave Markham, is that he has educated himself about victims. I'm going to say victims of, domestic violence. I'm not saying that she was. There's no record of John Carter having been arrested. There's no record of them having to come to their home, or Katelyn's home where he was. It just seems to me that she was killed by someone much closer.
Got it.
That's all I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll find out what happened this week. And it seems like other people might think that too.
Oh, okay.
So besides the podcast, Gone at 21, there is a documentary that was made called Taken Too Soon, The Katelyn Markham Story. And they got one tip after the premiere of the documentary. And of course, Officer Day goes, "Oh, we got one tip, but it was one we'd already looked into." Okay, well, good for you, Officer Day, because you've obviously looked really hard into everything. Mm-hmm. So anyway, her father has been really terrific at holding out the banner of, my daughter is gone, and we need to know who did this.
Right.
And I am dismally disappointed in the Fairfield PD. It is a shame that they are the leads. Honestly, I don't know if it had ever been handed over to another agency. I know that whoever's in charge, I think it's a sheriff's department that's in charge of the Cedar Creek PD where she was found.
Got it.
So it has to kind of be, I guess it's Indiana State Police. They have to be kind of co-sharing the case, but Indiana State Police would be the backup in Fairfield because that's where she disappeared.
Right. So they opened the missing persons case, and then that's where it stayed. Yeah.
Honestly, after what has happened with the Libby and Abby case in Delphi, I have a much bigger appreciation for the Indiana State Police.
Okay.
It may have taken them 5 years, but they never gave up, and they worked really hard. And I wish they were the lead. I'm just going to say that. I've interviewed 2 detectives from the Indiana State Police, and they were both phenomenal.
Oh, cool.
Phenomenal. I was at first a little thrown back because it turns out that old school detectives test you when you talk to them. They like to push you. And I was like, well, fuck you, motherfucker. I didn't say that, but and then after they push you and you hold up, they're like, you know what? All right, I'm beginning to trust you. And I yelled at him and I go, beginning? And he laughed. But it was many conversations later.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't have to fucking prove myself to you. Fuck you. But apparently I did.
Okay.
And then he trusted me, and then he gave me a great interview.
Oh, cool.
A case that he, really believes in, and that, anyway. So I wish Indiana State Police was the lead, but no, we're back to Fairfield. So even the Indiana State Police said after the documentary, they hadn't received any new tips. I don't know that they've received tips from the podcast, but I can tell you I'm very impressed with how Ryan has championed this case and stuck to it. I mean, he's doing an amazing job. I have not seen the documentary. The film's producer said he was going to put it on YouTube, but I haven't found it. And he said he wanted to reach, a larger audience. So let's cut to about a week ago.
Okay.
They always do it on a Friday. I don't know why. Maybe because they want you to stay in jail over the weekend because you can't get a bail bondsman. So on Friday, there was an arrest of John Palmerton in relation to the Katelyn Markham case. He was charged with perjury. Now, I am still a little out on the definition of perjury. I always thought it meant when you're on the stand.
Right.
It doesn't.
It's okay. It's more than that.
Yes, It can be when you've made a statement to law enforcement.
Huh. Okay.
I know. I don't know if it's something that isn't used often as a tactic. In my mind, what they're doing is trying to sweat John Palmerton to give up John Carter.
Okay. Who's John Palmerton?
He's a friend.
Okay,
of John
another
Carter.
friend. Okay.
Yeah. He knew them both, but more of a friend of John Carter. Katelyn referred to him as John number 2. Because they're both Johns, right?
Sure.
So when she's talking about them, John Carter, John Palmerton.
Okay, so he gave a statement. He was interviewed by detectives
back when she disappeared, is my guess.
And now he's being arrested.
They picked him
on
up Friday a week and a half
perjury because some part of that statement was false.
Well, I guess they would have to prove it to a judge.
Sure.
Right?
I mean, if the charge is going to stick, but they only have to prove it when he actually goes to court. Right now, he's just sitting in lockup.
Yes.
So maybe it is just a tactic.
But they wouldn't be able to hold him,
Mm-hmm.
Somebody would have to take a look at it and be like, oh, there's no grounds.
Sure.
But a judge had to look at it and say, you have grounds to pick him up.
Well, unless it was after Court Friday. Then he can be detained all weekend.
Right.
But
he's not out. It's been over a week.
Oh, it's been a week and he's still in.
Yeah, it was Friday a week ago.
So okay, got it.
Yeah.
So something stuck.
Right.
Okay.
Or, the wheels of justice move slowly, and hopefully in this case, they move slow enough that John Palmerton explains what happened if he has information. Okay. Let's just say he may or may not have information.
Okay.
There has been a private investigator, J. Ryan Green, who's, been working on the case for a while. And he says, whoever's investigating this now, they're on the right track.
Okay.
They've got momentum and they have something that would allow a judge to sign off on a search warrant. Because not only was John Palmerton arrested for perjury, they searched a home belonging to John Carter's mother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I believe John Carter was at the time called her fiance. I don't know if it was one of those, like if there was a ring or if it was official. They may have just called each other that, but it was definitely more than it's a guy I met, at a club.
Right.
It was, they had a long relationship. For quite a while. So this investigator said that John Carter, John Palmerton, and Katelyn Markham were all part of this same circle of friends that hung out together. Mm-hmm. But Palmerton was, closer to John Carter, and that Palmerton lived close to Katelyn when she vanished. So they all lived close together because John Carter lived, I think, less than a half a mile.
Okay.
And I think John Palmerton lived like perhaps 2 miles, like really very, very close, right? Okay. So this private investigator, interviewed John Palmerton in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah. And during that interview, the PI said, John Palmerton denied knowing anything about what happened to Katelyn. He agreed to take a polygraph, but then never showed up. Now, that's not something I hold against someone because they're inadmissible.
Sure.
It's just something to make you, they can point at you and say you're guilty. How many things have we seen where someone passes it and they're Ted Bundy?
Right.
Or they fail it and they have zero to do with shit.
Right.
I mean, I think what they want is the answer.
Right.
What's going to be your answer? And if your answer is okay, then they're like, all right. But then they set appointments several times and he never showed up.
Yeah. And this is a private investigator.
Yes.
So he doesn't really have any obligation to talk to him, show up, anything. Right?
Absolutely. But he did talk to him.
Yeah.
Maybe he showed up at his house. I don't know how PIs work, but it sounds pretty interesting, right?
Yeah.
The private investigator said he didn't really have any firsthand knowledge, according to him, when he was talking to me. Now we're talking about someone that perjured himself. So I don't even know what was true and what was false. We don't know what he was holding back. We don't know if he falsified anything that I asked him. But it is very interesting, they did get search warrants and now he's in jail for perjury. Yeah. So there were 2 search warrants, I guess one for where John Palmerton lived in 2011 that was close to where Katelyn and John Carter lived. And the other was the house where John Carter's mom lived.
Yeah. Okay.
2 search warrants and John Palmerton's in jail.
Wow.
Yeah. I do love that he says this. The PI says, a lot of times in these cases, you'll see small changes and then they get bigger and bigger and then boom, you've got a murder charge on somebody. I'm not saying that John Palmerton murdered Katelyn Markham, but he did lie about something and he knew about somebody else. Did he lie about something that occurred? And then he admitted that, yeah, I lied about it. I don't know.
Oh. Okay.
He doesn't know what he perjured, whether it was like
his theory is that this private investigator's theory is that he lied about something years ago and then now just said, hey, wait,
maybe that could be a scenario.
That's okay.
But Ryan Green found a picture that was posted on social media of John Palmerton and John Carter at that festival.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is there something about that picture that might
it just shows that they were,
they were there.
Yeah.
They were hanging that night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that's like, I don't think they're connected.
But they're a similar age and they knew each other.
Katelyn didn't know the other victim, but Michael Strauss knew John Palmerton.
Knows John Palmerton.
Which he may or may not know Katelyn and John Carter.
Okay. But if everybody's the same age in the same town, of course they knew each other.
Right. So yeah. I just love that even the Texas Equus search, came and looked around the area, right after Katelyn disappeared. And, they didn't find anything. But then, here we are, April of 2013, this couple searching for scrap metal finds, a jawbone. She's just basically covered with aluminum cans and debris.
Wow.
I know. Yeah. And I mean, the remains were in such a terrible condition that it did take dental records. It was 20 months, almost 2 years, and it's 30 miles from Katelyn's condo. But you know what else is interesting? It's an area that's on the way from John Carter's family home to a farm in Indiana that the Carters own.
Okay.
In Indiana. Yeah. Sort of have to drive right by there to get to their family farm. So obviously the theory is that, she knew who did this to her. She had a little dog that she always kept in the bedroom when she was gone. When the police and her father get there, the door's open. And John Carter had said, I don't remember if it was open when I got here or not. He shows up at 7:00 the next evening. It's also interesting that, I mean, he's the closest to her. And it's interesting that he's the one reported, hey, she's gone. A day later, like not quite 24 hours, but 20 hours later, he said, he left in the evening. the night before.
Yeah.
After they'd gone to the festival.
Okay, so they come home from the festival, maybe have a little tiff or whatever about the money. He says he goes home, texts her in the morning. She doesn't text back. And then he has a shift at work, and then he go like it. That doesn't seem like on its face super fishy,
right?
Like,
and he said, "I thought she didn't text me back because
she was still mad."
No, like, because she was at work.
Yeah,
right. Or she was still mad. Although he said there wasn't a fight.
Okay,
that it wasn't a big deal. Katelyn's friend, who is unnamed, came over. I'm sure they know his name. We don't have to know his name. Came over and said the tension was so thick in the air you could cut it with a knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's his opinion. Maybe it's true.
Yeah.
I know. It's a lot of hearsay. Yes, sir. Yes, very much so, sir.
Yeah. So
Michael Strauss had actually killed a second victim, Ellen Wick. And it's the same thing, a bag around her head. And and that was in Westchester, Ohio. And it's like 45 minutes from Fairfield. I get it. There can be multiple things going on in one state, This time, Michael Strauss put her body in a field, not in a creek. So his MO, one Shelley is in a creek with a bag over her head. Ellie is in a field with a bag over her head. And he's arrested and tried for her murder, but then he confesses to an inmate about Shelley. So now he's a double murderer. But, I don't know. I don't think he's the guy that killed Katelyn.
And was that the connection they were trying to go after that whole time? Is that okay, Michael Strauss did it also, it's a third victim?
Or potentially. Okay. Michael Strauss potentially. It's just another avenue to go down. Sure. One of the things I adore about her father is that he is so well-spoken and yet just an authentic, advocate for his daughter. And he says statistics show that he said, I think 90%, but I think it's 80, maybe 90% of people who are murdered, it's by someone they know or love, the person closest to them. There aren't a plethora of randos,
right?
Walking around like, I'm going to kill this person, I'm going to kill that person. It's not the way the world works.
Right.
It's typically someone you know.
Yeah.
So why was her dog in the bathroom instead of the bedroom? I mean, that sort of shows maybe the dog was put in there because the dog was barking because something was going on.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, no, I have it backward. The dog was usually kept in the bathroom where it's bed.
Oh, it's bed. Okay.
And water and food.
Sure.
Which makes sense. It's usually better flooring. Your bedroom's usually carpet. But the dog was found in the bedroom without food and water or its bed. That's the thing. I got it confused. Sorry. So why was the dog? I know how I am. I'm a creature of habit. I put my, evil vixen dog and, where she cannot jump on Joshua's testicles. Yeah. So I put her in her, little crate with her bed and her blankie, and she's totally happy and fine in there. Right. And during the day when I'm at work, she has access to her food and she has access to the house.
Right.
So why would her dog, I don't think she would have put the dog in the bedroom. If, like, let's say they were having an argument and the dog was getting upset, she would have put the dog in the bathroom. So somebody else, in my mind, put the dog in the bedroom.
Sure. Yeah.
Just my theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were, really close. John Carter and Katelyn were, wrapped up in each other's lives. And it just, him explaining things away. Like he said, when he got to her condo, he did not remember if the door was open or closed, but he did have a key.
Oh, he has a key. So it's okay.
So it's moot. He could have gotten in.
Sure.
But when the police and Dave Markham show up, he hasn't locked it back. It's open when they show up too. So he says he sent her this good morning text after he'd gone to bed, but there's just no phone record of this text, which is, I think that's pretty fascinating. Very fascinating. So on December 18th of 2015, David Markham held a press conference requesting that the investigation into the murder of Katelyn be handed over to the Butler County Sheriff's Office, Butler County, Indiana. There's a Butler County, Ohio, and a Butler County, Indiana.
Okay, got it.
So perhaps that's where her remains are found. I would prefer it be turned over to the Indiana State Police, but the Fairfield Police Department has been assisted by several agencies during this investigation. You know, they said, we're open to other law enforcement agencies reviewing the investigation. Sure you are.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of ego that happens, I'm sure. Like, you know, nobody wants to look like the guy who couldn't get his own job done. But
you know what?
But the job getting done is more important.
I have 2 words for you. Moscow, Idaho. Tiny.
I need more words than that. I don't know what you mean.
Idaho 4.
Oh, okay.
Moscow, Idaho, small agency.
Right.
Immediately calls FBI.
Right.
And Idaho State Police.
Yeah.
Immediately. And 6 weeks later, Brian Kohberger's arrested.
Right. Okay.
Here we are, you know, almost 12 years later.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not getting the job done.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
Ask for some help for sure.
So there is, and I haven't confirmed this, but a $100,000 reward if there's information leading to an arrest. I do not know that anyone was responsible for John Palmerton being arrested. But if anyone does know something, you know, I'll give the number. So here's John Carter going, oh, you know what? I got a text from her at 12:52 a.m. And he said it was a text of a picture of her. She texted him like a picture in a frame of herself.
She texted John Palmerton?
No, John Carter.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misheard
John
you.
Carter.
She texted her fiance at almost 1 a.m. that same night.
Yeah, he had left, you know, not that, like between 11 and 12.
Okay.
And like an hour later, he says at 12:52, I get a text from her. It's a picture that her boss had taken of her that she thought was a really good picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So no record of that text.
No, it's what he said.
Of the morning.
It's what he said.
Text.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I believe the fact that John Palmerton is arrested for perjury means he knows something that they think. I really just thought it was they're trying to sweat him. But maybe as a friend of John Carter, I'm not saying maybe he helped him. Maybe he knows, hey, he took her on the way to his family's property in Indiana.
Sure.
Maybe he used my car. I mean, I'm these are all just guesses.
Sure.
I don't think you can get that kind of information. I don't think you can get a warrant to arrest someone without something concrete.
Right.
It can't be, you know, all the detectives in my life say the same thing. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
Sure. Yeah.
They all say the same thing. And I'm like, I know, but if you know, and that's not enough. There are some things that our court system does correctly, and you can't just arrest someone for nothing.
Right.
Or if you do, it's not going to last long.
Right.
So he's still there. So if you or anyone you know knows anything about what happened to Katelyn Markham, anything about John Palmerton, or especially anything about John Carter, please call the Fairfield PD at 513-829-8201. But I'm also going to give the Butler, Indiana phone number because I'm just going to give their number.
Right. That's the one that the father was asking for you.
Yes.
Okay.
That's who he wants to be the lead.
Yeah. Okay.
So the Butler, it's Butler in Butler County, Indiana, 260-868-2171. And if you have any information that you would like to send to us or even just have us cover a case, please feel free to call us at our Tipster hotline at 832-TIPSTER. That's 832-847-7837. You can email us at jttipsters@gmail.com. You can find us on any of the social media platforms, the Just the Tipsters Facebook page. I'm going to urge you to look at Gone at 21, that Facebook page. You can find us at JT Tipsters on Instagram. at JT Tip-Sters Pod on Twitter, and more cowbell.
If you would like to support this podcast and get early access and other cool murderous swag, go to patreon.com/justthetipsters.